Hey Fixers, I'm Dr. Jeanette Benegas, one of the co-founders of Fix SLP. Our platform exists to discuss the biggest challenges that are currently holding back the field of speech-language pathology. We present the issues with facts and invite you to be a part of joining this movement to make things better one conversation at a time. So let's fix SLP. Hey everybody, welcome back. I am so excited to be bringing you another extra fix today. Today we have Lacey Helms. She is the current president of the Colorado Speech, Language, and Hearing Association. And before she and I jump in, I want to preface the conversation by letting all of you know that the views stated today are not reflective of Lacey's personal opinion, but instead are representative of the Colorado Speech, Language, and Hearing Association Executive Board as a whole. Thanks for coming on, Lacey.
Thank you so much. Thanks for introducing me. And I always like to tell people my full name is Jacqueline Lacey Hoyer Helms, which is really long. It doesn't even fit on a debit card, but I do like to be called Lacey Helms. So I prefer that name. And so thank you for introducing me.
Sure. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who are you? What do you do? What do you do for fun? Let us know.
Sure. Yeah, I graduated from the University of Northern Colorado in Greeley in 2004. So I've been a speech language pathologist for 20 years now. It's hard to believe that. And during that time, I worked in a variety of settings, but most of my time was spent in early intervention and pediatric home health, which is really my passion. And currently, I don't see a caseload. I do help with mentoring and coaching in our clinic and in our home health, but I currently am the co-owner and operator of Oasis Pediatric Therapy, which is a home health care agency that serves 10 counties in Colorado. And we also have a clinic in Greeley, Colorado. And we are also a second option or opportunity that I have in front of us is I'm a co-founder of WHALE, which stands for We Help and Love Everyone, which is going to be the first center-based respite in Greeley, Colorado, in Weld County that we have had. And it will open in June 2024. And we'll be able to provide respite services to up to 55 children in a center-based setting and be able to have accessibility and a wonderful environment for those children.
I love that. I didn't know that about you. So is this respite where kiddos can come and stay, or is it just like day respite? Tell me about that. I know this is about your state, but I want to hear more because I'm only familiar with adult respite services where maybe they go to a long-term care facility for a week so family can have a break. But what does that look like for kids? Because I bet my adult med people have no idea about this.
Well, respite for the pediatric population is actually very difficult to find. And oftentimes, most parents don't have options for respite care. Like I said, we will be the first center-based respite facility in Weld County, and there are only a few others in Colorado. And our center will open and be like a typical daycare childcare setting where we have specific hours that were open 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. But as we move forward, we will be able to offer more drop-in slots and people are able to do some part-time situations. For the summer, we're starting with camps for school-aged children. And so this will be a lot like a center-based daycare, but we will be able to provide respite for families who maybe their children have a variety of different needs that maybe cannot be serviced appropriately at a typical daycare. So we're so excited to have this in Greeley and in Weld County.
This might be a Fix SLP episode down the road.
Okay.
Really want to elevate people who aren't necessarily fixing SLP, but who are like finding these areas of need and really just improving. So anyway, let's get back to your state.
Yes,
that's amazing. Thanks
absolutely.
for sharing that. So how did you get involved with your state association and what do you love about it?
So I work with a consultant who had recommended that I become part of legislation and working with the state association to become involved with what's going on in Colorado and to make a positive impact in the areas that I can. And really, I've always wanted to advocate for our profession. I've always had this as a goal to give back to the profession that has really changed my family tree and has provided a very good career for myself and has, like I said, changed my family tree. So I'm very grateful to this profession. And so it's an honor to be able to advocate for a profession and make a difference.
I know before we started recording, you said that Colorado has done a bunch of advocacy efforts that have really made a difference. So why don't you tell us about some of those? What advocacy has the state undertaken in previous years, not right now, but previously, that has made a difference for Colorado clinicians?
So most recently, we have been working with HCPF to be able to complete 12 visits prior to requiring a PAR in Colorado. And this will give us parity with PT and OT in our state. And we were able to make this a reality. There have been a few things that we're working on to continue to make sure that the process goes smoothly with Medicaid, but that was a real big win in our advocacy. And we've also been working continuously on increasing reimbursement rates for outpatient speech therapy services. And over the last 4 years, we have seen an 11% increase. Now, that is presuming that the 2.5% that is projected for 2024 will go into effect July 1st. That is likely to happen, but of course, we will have to wait to make sure that that goes through. In 2023, we saw a 3% increase. We also saw a 3% increase in 2022. And in 2021, we had a 2.5% increase. And then another thing that we've been working on that we had worked on in Colorado was passing the Interstate Compact, which we were able to successfully pass through legislation.
Wow. So everybody who's not getting paid enough needs to move to Colorado, open their own practice.
Well, what I would say about that is we're also, while we're working to become into parity with PT and OT in a lot of ways in Colorado, we're also working on parity within our profession and working on reimbursement for outpatient services to be close to what our reimbursement is in home health for the same, for speech language pathology services.
Which would be great. We need to be paid our worth. So good for Colorado for taking that on. We need that across the board, but man, yeah, wait, that's a whole nother podcast I have, other SLPs pockets, where we talk about reimbursement and knowing your worth. Everybody
Yeah.
can go listen there. But yeah, good for you guys. You sort of just mentioned it, but I'm sure there's more. What's something your state is working on now? And then how can Colorado clinicians best support this effort?
A few of the things that we've been working on is recently we've seen an increase in PAR denials through Medicaid for outpatient speech therapy services. And so we've been working with stakeholders to understand the issues, and we've been working with HCPF to work through those. They've had several meetings with us and we've had good conversation back and forth, being able to report to them what stakeholders are telling us are difficulties, and them working with us with the case numbers and having conversation back and forth. So while we're working through some difficulties, we've had a really good working relationship, and that is going very well. So we appreciate their time very much and their efforts of communicating with us. Of course, we're also working, like I said, on increasing reimbursement. That's something that we continue to advocate for. And also a big thing that we're working on right now is we had filled out an application to work on the certification of SLPAs outside of the school setting in Colorado. We submitted the application in 2023, and upon the completion of the review of that application, they did not recommend that we were to be going forward with the certification through DORA, which is the Department of Regulatory Agencies, because we were unable to provide cases of harm. And that is a requirement in Colorado for DORA to recommend that a profession be certified through DORA. This was a difficult thing to try to come up with because there is not a place to report such harm. And so we did do our very best and our due diligence to try to find cases, but ultimately it was very difficult to do so. And so they did not recommend that we move forward with that application, if you will. They denied that it should move forward. So we are currently pursuing other options to see if there are other avenues that we can move forward, such as with legislation, perhaps doing a legislative bill at the next legislative session, which would require that we have stakeholder input and meetings, and we would need stakeholders to come to us with information about concerns, things that would be positive, and a lot of input from people from across our profession and a lot of settings also, so that we can fully understand if we should continue moving forward with this as a possible piece of legislation.
I want to back up just so I'm clear, because if I have this question, there are listeners who are going to have this question. When you were looking for cases of harm, you had to actually find real life examples where SLPAs have caused harm to patients or clients in the state of Colorado. And you were
Yeah.
denied an application because you couldn't find cases of harm. Did I understand that right?
So they allowed us to do the application, and we went through the application
Okay.
process, and we had several meetings with the people who review the application. They listened to us. They explained the cases of harm. They explained that this was a major component of the application moving forward to the next stage of the process. And they worked with us. They did an observation. They did a lot of things to work with us, but that is absolutely correct. We were not recommended to move forward with DORA certification because we, as a board, could not come
Yeah.
up with examples of actual harm to patients in Colorado or students or clients from SLPAs. And this was a difficult task. There were several things that I was able to find that I felt may be useful, but it was not an actual case of harm. And so the application report that they put out, they did not recommend that we would move forward to the next stage in the process.
This is just crazy to me because what that means is your SLPAs are killing it. They're doing a good job. They're taking care of people. We're not causing harm.
I
To me,
think
it's like, yes, let's give you this because you guys are doing a great job. But oh no, you need to actually be harming people. That seems so backwards to me. I've never
it's
heard of something
difficult
like this
because of
before.
the parity, again, because PTs and OTs do have in their Practice Act in Colorado the language that supports them being able to have assistance in Colorado.
Yeah.
And in the SLP Practice Act, that is not the case. And so SLPAs can work through the Colorado Department of Education in the public school setting. However, there's not certification for SLPAs outside of that setting. And so there is nowhere to report
Mhm.
cases of harm other than the Colorado Department of Education.
Wow. So if you move forward with this with legislation in the next legislative session, you said you're going to need input from stakeholders. Can people expect to see stuff like this on your social media? Do you send emails? If people want to get involved at that point, because Fix SLP keeps saying the states are where it's at. This is where you get control of the profession. This is where you have your autonomy. Where should they be looking? If this is something that's piquing someone's interest and they want to get involved in this when it's time, what can they do?
During the second half of the year, so starting in July, we will start working on putting information out on our website and on social media to provide opportunities for people to sign up and become part of the stakeholder list for being a part of meetings and different types of meetings and things that we will have that we will need input on. And so we will be putting that information out, like I said, in the second half of the year so that we can determine by the end of the year if we are going to be able to sponsor a bill through legislation for that next 2025 legislative session. And so we are waiting until the second half of the year so that we have a good 6 months to work on that. But that way we're focused and precise on what we're working on.
I think that's going to be so important for your state because now's the time to get control of it and make that SLPA profession. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but make it what your state wants it before someone else comes in and makes it what they want it. So getting control of that and regulating it at the state level, I guess, is going to be really important. So keep an eye out for that, everyone. If you're in Colorado, seems like an important thing to be doing. We get a lot of questions at Fix SLP from SLPAs. And my first response is always, well, it's the wild, wild west. It depends on what state you live in. And it's a budding thing. And I think we have a lot of examples from audiology and speech pathology of what to do and what not to do. So now that everybody's aware, get in there with your state and make it happen.
Well, and we have university programs that are offering the SLPA program, and there's a workforce shortage in Colorado, but there are also things that we need to think about setting and requirements for what type of education, supervision, and to provide the highest standard of care for patients and clients and students. And so there's both sides of the issue that we need to be talking about to ensure that we understand and, like you said, do the best thing for Colorado and make sure that the highest standards are followed so that we can be an example of providing the highest quality of care to the people that we are serving in Colorado.
Yeah, it's great that you already have the programs. The last state that I recorded with, when they wanted to start all of this, they didn't have any of their programs with SLPA departments. So they had to create those first, and then they were able to regulate. So you guys are ahead of that.
Yes.
So it sounds like that's something that you're looking at for the future, but is there anything else that is on the agenda for Colorado in the future? What do you anticipate will need to happen to make those things a success?
The other things I talked about, increasing reimbursement, trying to work on parity within our profession, but also with PT and OT, and continuing to work with Medicaid with some of the difficulties that we see with PAR denials and things like that. And those are the biggest issues that we're focusing on in Colorado right now.
Sounds like you have a lot of good things happening in Colorado. Sounds like you have a great plan moving forward, but how do you decide on what the agenda is from year to year? How does the association determine that?
That's a great question. I am so grateful for the amazing people who serve on our board of directors. We have an amazing group of people who volunteer to be a part of our group. And we have monthly board meetings. And during that time, our agenda is set by each department. All of the different departments add to our agenda. And as we get questions throughout the year through email, we answer those, and sometimes those things are added to our agenda. We recently did a strategic planning session with Eileen Crow from ASHA that really helped us formulate our next 5-year plan. And that strategic session was very helpful for us to develop a long-term plan and short-term objectives. We are continuing to work through all of that, and we'll be rolling that out. So that is a big part of how we're going to move forward with how we set our agenda. But we also have those people, like I said, that I'm so grateful for that serve on our board of directors that come to us with all of the information that they are learning in their different areas and bring it back to the board for us to discuss and decide what's most important for our state at this time. And with stakeholder input also through emails, and if they also call and ask a question through our state association management company.
So this has been a really interesting question for me that as I've been learning about all of the state associations, if you're comfortable sharing, does your state pay for a lobbyist? And if so, what is the cost for your state for that lobbyist?
Yes, we do pay for a lobbyist. We have a phenomenal lobbyist that we've had for multiple years. She gives us a significant discount, which we appreciate. She deserves, though, to be paid without the discount, but the state association, it is difficult to make sure that our budget is balanced. And we pay her $12,000 a year. And like I said, she gives us a significant discount, and she is amazing and really deserves to be paid at a higher rate. But we are very grateful that she does give us that discount so that we can move forward with continuing with our lobbyist.
That's amazing. That's great. I need to find a discounted person.
Yes, we're very grateful for her
Need a
and
discount.
her agency who allows that.
So if people like what we're talking about, like what they're hearing, and they're thinking about joining, what can they expect as a member of the association?
So we have a wonderful conference every year. This year, it's going to be October 4th and 5th in Parker, Colorado at the Pace Center. It's absolutely beautiful facility. We've had the conference there before, so we know how great it is. It's a really beautiful facility and it's affordable. You can get all of your CEUs at one location. It's on a Friday and a Saturday. And so we offer that once a year. And then we do quarterly webinars, which are a great opportunity to participate in, which are very affordable. They're only $5 if you're a member, $25 if you're not a member. We welcome everyone for those. You can also expect to have member discounts with a variety of different companies in our profession, which is great. And we provide advocacy. One of my favorite days of the year with Kasia is going to the Capitol with the students, where we get to meet with the legislators. We get to sit on the Senate floor and the House floor. We get to learn, and it's just such a great time. It's absolutely my favorite day of the year. Every year I love doing that. And everyone's welcome to do Capitol Day with us. The more of us, the better. And we also do some in-person social events to try to get people together, as well as we have a CF mentoring program, which is another amazing opportunity if you're a member.
I love the idea of a mentorship program locally. That's great. I love a $5 webinar too. So people want to attend because you said anyone can. So if I wanted to attend a webinar, would I be able to get a certificate at the end if I'm tracking my own professional development hours? So is there something like that offered, or is it just a webinar for enrichment?
You would receive a certificate with the ASHA CEUs, and we do have them reported to ASHA. So it's a fairly simple process. And like I said, they're very affordable at $25 for non-members and $5 for members.
Just a reminder to everyone, if you haven't been following our content, because there's a lot of it, that you don't necessarily have to take ASHA CEUs. ASHA themselves doesn't even require that. They require professional development hours. So you can take things like this from states in Colorado or Texas or Ohio or wherever. If you see some kind of CEU opportunity that you're interested in, it doesn't have to be from your own state. It doesn't have to be ASHA approved, but in this case it is. It can literally just be a professional development opportunity. And as long as you're getting a certificate or proof of attendance, you can track that yourself. But in this case, if you have ASHA track that, they can do that for you. So follow them on social media. Look out for those types of opportunities, because we all have things we need to learn and grow in. And so that's a great way to keep doing that. And $25 as a non-member is that's a steal, compared to like a huge conference where it's hundreds of dollars. So how can clinicians best communicate their ideas and concerns to your association? And then once ideas or concerns come in, how do you all handle those?
The best way to communicate with us is through email, and you would email us at kasia@kasiaassoc.org, which is CSHA@CSHASSOC.org.
Let's pull this all together.
Okay.
People are interested in those discounts, interested in those things that you guys have going on. They want to join. How can they join? How much does it cost for your members? What's the process to become a member?
You would go to our website, which is kasiaassoc.org, which is the CSHASSOC.org. And you would click on the Join Now button. And for members, for professional members, it's $75 for 1 year or $120 for 2-year membership. For our students, it's $30 a year or $10 if you're initial member. So there is a discount. SLPAs are $45 a year. And if you're a PhD student, you are at $55 a year for a membership.
That's great pricing. I love the 2-year discount. Every state does this differently. And I think you're the first one that has said, oh, if you join for 2 years, you get $15 off a year. That's another great idea from a state that other states might want to think about doing. You guys are on social media. What are the handles? What social media sites are you on, and where can people find you? Do you know?
On Instagram, you can look us up at kasia.co, so CSHA.co. On Facebook, it's Colorado Speech Language Hearing Association. And you can also find us on LinkedIn.
All right, Lacey, is there anything else you wanted to add or talk about before we end the episode?
I just wanted to thank you for giving us this platform to talk about our state association. It really helps us to let people know what we're doing on the state level. And I really just appreciate your time and openness to ask me questions and let me tell you a little bit about what we're doing in Colorado. And I'm very grateful for that. So thank you for your time.
Sure. I told you this before we started recording, we get a ton of Colorado emails. Everybody in Colorado is following Fix SLP. So I think this episode will be really well received. I think your clinicians have been chomping at the bit to hear from the association. So here you go, guys. There it is. Now you've asked, we've delivered. So if you're not a member, now it's your turn. Go join. And at the very least, follow their socials so you can join their webinars and go to the conference and, help with these legislative things coming up that you might start seeing things about in July. So there you go, guys. All right, Lacey, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you giving us your time. If you love what we're doing, give us the 5-star rating and review. And maybe when you see the tile on social media, tag your state association, let them know you want to hear from them on the pod. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for fixing it.